Verify that by using like a CSS forward slash it is going to display the list of the
Hello, just hello, cha.
so when you are reading the files, you can use the cat command or get command or fail command. So you can use the cat command for reading the documents. Okay. So you can read the like a file, complete file, you can read with the cat command. But you want to read the specific lines, okay, only top three. Okay. Now head hyphen n. So now like I want to read the top like a five lines. Okay. Now I can just click the provide the head. Now okay, five lines I can. So use the header tile commands for the reading specific number of lines from the top to bottom or bottom to top. Okay, in the reverse order. So we have that option. Isn't that clear? And even you can verify the like with the filtering also. You can filter the content within a file. So you can use a grid. This is a like a Linux like interesting anything. You can filter the specific content. For example, I want to start like it is starting with the zero and type of okay, so root type. So now I can read the particular value of this wherever we have a zero it is identified. Okay. So now like I want like filter only the number which is 1000. Now you can see that the standard user. So you can just take a search for the specific user or specific content. Okay, next is by using. So I prefer to use a group in a lot of times like for the filtering the things, especially in a groups like for example. So I want to know the all the groups. In that case, you can use a cat etc group file. Now it is displaying all the groups. But I want to filter who are inside of the users. Now I can just only can use a group users. So group. So you can just mention the users and only under users group you can see that particular line is right. Only I can see the sysadmin user part of the users group right now. Now I want to see that who are in a pseudo group. So pseudo group I guess. Pseudo sysadmin. So I we love to so get the content in a specific format, specific okay, so you can just use the content handling process, the text file handling process. So we are handling the text files with a cat command, with a head command, tail command, lib command. It's just a filter the content. So based upon those options. So cat will display the whole document. You need to go through that yourself. Okay. Tile will filter the bottom lines from the bottom. It will read the from the top. Okay. And it can filter the specific word. So you can just use that search method, that filtering method, and all those things to read the content properly. Is that clear? So anyway, so our users information is stored in a home directory, and our users file is etc pass wp file where we have all user accounts information, and we have etc group file where we have all the groups we have in that computer. Okay, and you can even find the passwords. So where they prefer to store, so they prefer to store in a etc shadow file. The shadow file contains the password. Okay, but it requires sudo privilege. Sudo. Okay, privileges we have to cover. Now you can see that a user accounts and their password matches. But the Linux uses solving technique, we can't able to crack this match. It's not that easy. Okay, fine. So now we got the idea that we have one user, sysadmin user only this system. Now if we want to add the user, you can add the multiple. So what is the command we can use? Sudo add user. You can add the username. So sudo add user, demo user one. So please add the user demo user one. Your system also allow you add the user demo user one. So whenever you add a demo user one, so that user related ID you can see. It is an increment from the in between 1000 to the 59,999. So there is an increment between that. Okay. Now 1000 is already standard user, we have system. So next user it is. So now it is a number is increased. So 1001. Group also, group number also same. So we have a group and group is created, like a user is created. So that user is added to the same group name, and even additionally it is added to the adding demo user one to the users group also. So it is really primarily all actions, and even it is asked us to enter the new password for that, and even it is created a home directory also. This is a home folder also. So multiple actions you did with help of the single command sudo and user. Okay, demo user one. Now so you can verify that our user is created. So our home directory is created. So demo user one is added. Okay. Now you can just so see that so your pass already file content. So demo user one. So in the bottom line is added. Okay. Now you can see that like so your group file also added. So group file also added. So group file also added the user. It is added to the part of the users list. Users group also gets the not to the pseudo group. Okay? It is not added the user to the pseudo. Only user. Clear everyone? Okay, so in a command line usage, like we have two important options, like to do the actions behalf of the any other user. Even it gets switched to the other user also. So we have like now currently who am I? I'm like I log into the sysadmin. Now I want to like move from sysadmin to the demo user one through the command line interface. You can switch the user. You can switch user. You can use the command su switch user. In a su command by default user is a root user. If you don't mention the username, it will switch to the root user. But if you mention the username, -u, now I'm mentioning the demo user one. So switch user or this su like we don't need to mention the like one. Now directly it is asking for the password of the demo user one. You can enter that and you can log into the demo user. All of it switch to the demo user one role. So whatever user you created, switch to that user. Is it an open shell or not verified? So previously we are in a sysadmin account. Now we move to the another account. It means Linux is giving a like a facility to us. So switch between user to user in a command line interface. Okay, it is a easy for you. But check this user privileges. Are able to run the like update apt update. Check that. So verify that then you are able to update from this demo user one. So what is the error you are getting? Demo user one is not in a sudoers file. Your username is not in a sudoers file. Sudoers file, it is a configuration file. Define who can use sudo. Okay, which group can do the use a sudo? We have a sudoers file, configuration file. In that file, administrators will specify that the specific group is permitted to use a sudo. Default group is sudo. We have a sudo group, EDM group. Those groups are like already have a default sudo user access, sudo level. Sudo means like so you are using switch user to root level. You can do the operations. Guys are able to follow me. But our sudo command is not working because we don't have a sudo privileges. So whatever user you created, that user is a standard user. You don't have administrator privileges. Okay, let's exit from the shell. So exit from the use. Okay, group. So did you exit? So you came back to the sysadmin now. Now add user command again. So we use like add user command, am I right? So we have added user. So what is the user? Sudo add user demo user one. I created a user. But after creating a user, I need to add this user to the specific group. Which group you want to add? I need to add to the sudo group or not to give the sudo privileges to that guy. Okay, so you have to add the sudo group name in the last. Now you added that user to the sudo group. Please add your user to the sudo group. Then only your user will get the sudo usage privileges. So whenever you create the user, please remember, you need to create the user, you need to add that user to the specific group. Based upon the group, you will get the privileges. If it is not in a pseudo group, you don't get the pseudo usage privileges. Now switch to the user now. Use the su command now. Now use the su command after updating the privileges. Now you can see the even welcome screen also. Welcome message also. It is giving in, we can use sudo. Am I right? Previously you didn't get any welcome message about sudo usage. But now it is giving like a sudo usage welcome message. It means we have a sudo privileges. Now you can use sudo space apt update or you can do anything as an administrator. Whenever hacker want to get the backdoor access into the servers permanently, is going to be create the user first and add that user to the sudo. Please remember. Okay, even administrator of the company, you want to create the one user who can use a sudo privileges. That guy also do the same. You will add the user, you will add that user to the sudo group. Guys are able to follow me. It's a really important. If you don't give the privileges, you can't able to do the things. So groups are mandatory. Users need group access. Users need group access. Because like see why we need a groups management in every operating system, because we are going to be define the privileges. We can't able to allocate the privileges to the individual user. Really tough for us. Users management. For example, in a company we have a 200 employees. Okay, there is a 30 members so developers. Okay, so they are working in a project 1. What about remaining? They are also developers. They are working in a project 2, project 3 like that. Now I want to allocate those 30 people only resources. They are permitted to access the project 1 related data. In that case, I need to define a separate group or not. I need to create a separate group. I need to add all those users to the group, am I right? I need to define the rules in a group level, am I right? It means files and folders access. I need to give a ownership to the specific group or specific user. I can't able to give the ownership to the 30 users at a time. It's really tough for me. I can make only one user as a owner. Am I right? But I can give I can keep all 30 users in a one group. So group level permissions applicable to that. So users management, group management is an interesting concept for the identity access management and privileged access management. Means the organization, they will identify the employee. They will identify the employee. So user, they will identify the user and they will verify the user privileges to access the resources. It means I want access the project data, only read only access. Or right to access also, or executable access also. Whatever permissions I want to allocate, those permissions always depends upon the user and their group privileges. This is a really interesting, important concept we should know. Okay, so privileges allocation is always happens through the the role and groups. Is it clear on? Okay, so now we have access. Demo user one has access to run the command. Now, if you observe that we are able to open a new shell or not? Is it open new shell or not? Su command is able to open the new shell. New shell session for this specific user. Now I open a session for the demo user. Su switch user, demo user one. I am able to launch the new session for the demo user one. Am I right? So we can launch the new session. But sudo, is it open the new session? No. It is running your command. Did you observe that? Even I can run the command behalf of the demo user one also by using sudo. Now let me exit from the demo user one. Type the UMI. Now, so we are using sudo command. Sudo space -u space demo user one space and UMI. Now, which user level you are running? Demo user one level. All your commands are running demo user one level. So you mention that run the command behalf of the demo user one. Is it open in the shell? No. It didn't open the shell, but it is running the command behalf of the demo user one. Sudo switch user do the action behalf of the other user. Yes, you switch user, you are directly opening the new shell. Sudo switch user do. Switch to this user and do the action. You are mentioning that. Guys are able to follow me. So sudo command is doing that. Okay. Sudo command or su command. If you don't mention the default user name, who is the default user? Root. Now see this. So when you are running this without mentioning the any user name, it is going to be treated as a root user. Because default user is root. For sudo command or su command, default user is root. Master should mention that. Okay. So which user level you want to operate like that, you have to mention that user level. Now, so if you mention that URL, this is the equivalent. This is the equivalent. Both are same. This one without mentioning the user, whatever you are running, equivalent to this. It means it is like a system is created default user as a root user. You understand the sudo main purpose. Sudo is a really plays a key role in the users and administrators management. So sudo is a really important. So understand the sudo use. So when you are using like a user, so you can switch to the specific user. But when you are using sudo, you should mention the username and you can run the command behalf of that guy without opening any new setting, new shell setting. So you can use the same existing setting, but you can run the command behalf of the other user by using sudo. Now I am able to like execute the UMI command. I am able to execute the UMI command behalf of the sudo user. So root user level. You can mention the username sudo. But the SQ, you can use the SQ and you can switch to the user and you can open the system. But it required password. Whose password? Which user you are trying to log in. Please understand. Now I want to like open the demo user one shell. I want to run the action behalf of the demo user. I need to know the demo user one password. I need to enter the demo user password when you use the su command. If you know the other user password only, you can open their shell. Am I right? But you don't need even their password. So run their command behalf of them by using sudo. That is the magic of this code. When you are using a sudo, whose password it is asking? Your password to check your capable, your privileges. Now I am running sudo command. So behalf of the other user. So behalf of the root user. So this is asking for the password. I need to enter the password of the demo user one only. See the authentication pin. Okay. So we need a valid password of the other user if you want to open the shell. But so if you want run the command, you just don't need demo user one password or root password also. Okay. Now I want to run the command on behalf of the root user. I can run the command behalf of the root user also, but without knowing root password. Do you have a root password to your computer? No. default your OS don't have a root password. See the like a password list. Is it has a password? So cat sudo cat /etc shard. Read that. We have a sysadmin password is there. Demo user password is there in the bottom. Root user is empty. Root user password is not configured. Then how can you log into the root account? I want to like a switch to the root. I want to open the shell for the root. I need to know the like whenever I type the su default is the root. I need to know the password for that. I don't know the root password. How can I log into the root account? You can open the shell behalf of any user by using the magic of sudo plus su. That is a user by the hand. It means combine the two commands purpose. First, when you use the sudo, you are switching, doing action behalf of the root user by default. Plus su, switch user. Now what happened? First two permissions you are getting like a root level without root password. Second, you are switching to the root without root password because already you permitted as a sudo. So without knowing a root password, without knowing anyone's password in a Linux system, you can switch to their shell with a sudo plus su combination. So only you need a sudo privileges. If you have a sudo privileges, you can use this method. Sudo plus su combination. So if I want to open the like a sort of terminal sudo space su, now see that root is open. Anyone shell. You don't need, did I enter any root password? Even we don't have a password to the root account also, but I want to open the root shell. Then sudo space su, sudo plus su. So sudo space su technique you can use to log into the anyone's account in your system without knowing their password. Please check. Sudo is the most powerful utility. So it will give the full administrative level access to you. You can do whatever you want. So if you don't know the root password or if you don't know any other user, simply can bypass that. Help of the sudo space, su space, even which user you want to know. Try again. So today I will show you how to log into the anyone's account. If you learn this foundation. Now you got access to the one server. That server has like 100 plus users. Now do you need their passwords? This is the of course, this is admin utility. They are given to you, they convert. So we are combining multiple commands to get the sudo is equal. Let's use it. Combine to get the both. Now, if you break down like a, so it is happening first like a sudo, whenever you type the sudo, so it is combining sudo space, okay, -u space root. It is getting a root level privilege. Okay. Now, after that, you are running a command. What is the command? Su command with a root access ID. So this is the like a your command part. Now you already sudo is as a root level access. Now do you think it will verify? No. Because administrator is running su root. That will not. Okay. Sudo plus su means like that. So this is a match. Equivalent. Okay. Now, so we can use like the same logic against any user also. You are using sudo space su username. Which user you want to log? You can use that. Okay, now I want to like change password to the my account. Now I log into the demo user one. I want to change my password. Pass W. It is asking current password. If I want to change the demo user password, whenever I type the pass WD, it is asking current password. Without knowing current password, you can't be able to change the password. User level. This is a user level limitation. So I need to like I don't know the current password. In that case, okay, I can't be able to change the password. But if we have like a sudo access, sudo space, pass WD. Now when you call the sudo, which user by default it will take root. Now this command change your root password. Now we can update your root password. All of you update your root password. Check your password is updated or not in a shadow file. So verify that like so you are root password is updated. You can see the hash is added. Previously we don't have any hash there. Now password is updated. You can see the hash. It means you can change the password. Okay, so if you have a sudo, you can change the password to the root user. You can change the password to the any user. So first of all, it is from the your previous user space. This is because this is user password. The password set the password. See, it will ask your current user password. Whenever you are using sudo, it is asking your current user password, like either sysadmin password or like a so demo user one password. So which user you currently log in, that user password it will ask. If that user is a part of the sudo group, only sudo command will work. First it will verify your authentication, it will verify your privileges. After that action is going to work. Got it? So our computers are our mobile devices, everything prefer to use the IAM, like a PAM controls. It means we have a triple already we discussed. Authentication, authorization, accounting process. Our devices, electronic devices. Now your smartphone also has the same authentication process. But our smartphone is like literally only user mode you have. Your Android phone is Linux. It's a Linux. Whatever commands you are learning, same commands applicable to your Android phones. There is an install Linux. Terminal is there. So even you can install the Kali Linux OS in your Android phone also. You can do the hacking from your phone also. You don't need a laptop. Got it. So Android is a Linux. If you learn this Linux, you can use it. What about iOS? iOS also Linux in there. Because iOS also inspired from the Unix. Linux also inspired from the Unix. Both guys structure is same. iOS also has a shell access, which has same command applicable to the iOS. So Linux, Mac OS use the same commands, same structure. అర్థమవుతుందా? So they have a similar structure. So they have a root user. They have a root user sudo SU, that is a used in a Mac version. I used a MacBook Pro, iPhone also. I did experiment on that also. My Linux knowledge. So, if you are a Linux user, you just switch to the Mac. If you are a Mac user, you just switch to the Mac. Because, say, command and user. Is it clear? So, first of all, understand that now we updated the root password. Now we can update the any user password sudo space passwd space. Next, user. Now update the your user password. So magic of the sudo space su will switch to the root. Sudo space su space username, you can open anyone's shell without knowing their password. Sudo space like a passwd space their username, you can change their password without knowing their current password. Now who is like a key player in this? Sudo. If we have a sudo access, we have everything. So primarily hackers like try to get the root level access. If you don't have a root level access, you don't have a root account access. But if you have a sudo, yeah, you are just a root user. అర్థమైంది నువ్వు అడ్మినిస్ట్రేటర్ కాదు కానీ అడ్మినిస్ట్రేటర్ చేసే పనులు చేయొచ్చు యూ హ్యావ్ ఎలివేషన్ sudo is a key to elevate yourself to the clear everyone. So do you know like in the Android phones people use the one word Android routing. Did you hear that? What is Android routing? Becoming user level to the administrator level your Android mobile device. Our manufacturers whenever they design the Android phone, they give the only user level privileges to us, just like a sysadmin level I given to you. Now, if you want to run the administrator level operations with your Android phone, you need a root user privileges. Root user only administrator user. From user mode to the root user level access you want. For that purpose, you have to follow the process. That process name is the privilege escalation. That privilege escalation script is a routing app. When you are doing a routing, Android routing is a process of escalating privileges from the low level user to the high level user, root user. If you rooted your Android phone, you are the administrator. You can uninstall whatever bloatware you have. Means manufacturer given some default apps. You don't want them. Even if you want to uninstall them, you can't able to uninstall as a normal user. But you can uninstall as a root user because you are the administrator. Now there is a one hidden functionality, one hidden feature. That feature is disabled by Android. Your manufacturer. You know, in your Android phone, you have like a Wi-Fi hotspot you can enable, right? You can share with other computers, right? Same way, you can just like share your laptop internet with your mobile phone without hotspot. Your phone internet with your mobile phone, your laptop without hotspot by using cable also. But that feature is disabled by default. USB tethering feature is disabled in a many mobile phones. Samsung is giving that feature. Okay, but that kind of hidden feature you can unlock when you root your device. You have a controller, entire OS. Sudo add user. Now I am adding the demo user. So now user is added. So first user is not in a sudo group. Our user is not in a sudo group. Like, let me check in a group sudo group. I have a sysadmin demo user one only. Demo user 2 is not in a sudo group. He can't able to use the sudo privileges. Even in case if I switch to the demo user 2, I can't able to do the any administrator level operation. So sudo is not permitted to me. So sudo I am not able to use. Okay. Demo user 2 is not in a sudo. So we have to give the privileges. Whenever we add the user, that user should add to the group. Then only will get the sudo privileges. Whenever I log into the other user, that user also get the sudo privileges. He can run the command behalf of the any other user. Right. So now I want like a change the password. I can change my current password, but it is asking current password. So if I use a passwd, it is asking like a current password. So without current password, I can't able to change the password. But if I add a simple like a sudo before that, sudo space passwd space, which user I want to change. Now I want to change to the demo user 3. User 2. So now I can update the password directly. So we don't need like any password. Okay, related issues we don't have. Then we can change the password. So password command. Okay, now I want to remove the user from the group. Sudo add user. In that case, DL user. Add DL. Delete user. So demo user 2 are trying to like remove from this sudo group. Which group? I can see that like so this guy is removed from the group. Now let me remove the like so should develop demo user 1 also. See that? It is updated. You can remove from the any group. You can add them to the any group also. For example, I want to create separate group. I can use sudo add group. So you can use the add group command. Now I am creating a group name 6. I created a group name 6. Now I can add the user to the 6. Now I want like add the user. So whenever I want to add a user, specific user, I can add that specific user to the 6. Now I added like a demo user to the 6. So demo user 2 is in a sales group, demo user 1 also in a sales group. Now according to the sales, those guys are sales users. Whatever permission, whatever files and folders permission we give it to the sales group, those files and folders only visible to them. Guys are able to follow me. Okay. So you can just like check the like so click sales. So you can read the etc group file for the sales. I can see that those two users are there. Now I want like so delete the group. Sudo del group. So add group. Now I remove like a sales. What happened whenever you remove the sales? They are like a simply like a so thrown from the sales group. They are like a exited from the sales group and by default their own existing previous groups. Like what is the previous group? Users group. That group like a district had a membership. Users. Okay. So now sales group is deleted. You can create like a new group. You can add a user to that group. Whenever you don't want, you can delete it. Guys are able to follow me. Now we want to delete the user. I have two users extra created. I want to delete them. Sudo add user, we use them, right? Now dl. So which user you want? Like I want to delete the demo user. Now user is deleted. Please check that delete your user. But observe that these changes are okay only happen in a etc passwd file, groups file, and shadow file, but not in your home folder. Whenever you remove, this is not going to delete that user home folder. Because when you are deleting a user, you should mention that you should remove the home folder. You need to pass the extra option. If you don't pass that extra option, you don't remove the home folder. By default, to protect our data, we have like a data is a really important. By mistake, we can delete the user. So due to that, like so data they don't delete for us by default. So you need to force yourself. You need to mention the Wi-Fi, remove Wi-Fi home. You need to mention that option. Remove home option. Then only will remove the home. అర్థమవుతుందా? So it don't remove the home like whenever user delete command. Just change the manual of the delete command. Delete user. So whenever you are trying to delete the user, you have to mention the remove icon all files. Remove icon home. So you have to use the remove related feature. If you don't mention the remove home or remove all files, it won't remove your home folder. It will only delete the user from the system, not the files. Okay. So we have that option. Okay. So refer the manual for the more details. Okay. So now I want to like a remove. Okay. Delete the user. Demo user one. Now I am mentioning remove home also. Now I mentioned the remove home. Like so it is trying to like remove that. Okay. See the demo user one home folder also is. అర్థమవుతుందా? సో డెమో యూజర్ 2 నేను రిమూవ్ చేసినప్పుడు రిమూవ్ హోమ్ పెట్టలేదు కాబట్టి అది డిలీట్ కాలేదు. ఇప్పుడు రిమూవ్ హోమ్ పెట్టినందుకు రిమూవ్ హోమ్ కూడా రిమూవ్. క్లియర్ ఎవరీవన్? So you know like when we are dealing with the server and client concept, most of the servers they have only few users, primary users who maintain the storage, but all other users only use the existing storage. That means we don't need to create the separate home folders for them. See, in my server already have like one user who already has all the files. I need to add the one more user, sales guy, who can access that document. Only I need to add the user. I don't need like extra folders for him. I don't need like any other home directory for him. That's my point. So whenever we add the user, by default it is creating a home folder, am I right? Our purpose is not matching, am I right? So that's why like they have a command, user add command, where you will add the only user. You don't create any home folder. You don't even set the password also for that. Later you can change the password. So we have like a user add command. So whenever we are like adding a user, it is creating a home folder. It is creating a group. It is adding the user to the users group. It is asking for the password set and everything, right? You don't need all of them. Simply you want to create the user, then user add. Now I create like a so user demo. Now user is added. Is it created any home folder? No, you can't find it. But this user is added. Where it is added? Normal records. Did I enter any password? No, because we need to change the password. User is added. User home directory is not created. User is added to the system. That user you can add to the any group. Guys are able to follow me, but you don't have a separate home directory. We can share our directory files. అర్థమవుతుందా? సపరేట్ హోమ్ ఫోల్డర్ లేకుండా సో మన ఫైల్స్ నే మనం షేర్ చేయొచ్చు ఆ యూజర్. సో అడ్మినిస్ట్రేటర్స్ యూజ్ ద యాడ్ కమాండ్. సో దే హ్యావ్ like a add user, user add, different approach. Same way delete also. Now I want to delete this user. So just I have like a user add like that user here. It is going to be delete that user. That's it. I was able to follow me. like a username that user doesn't. So we have to enter the value. Check the username like this. So you can use that same way like add group also we have group add command. So just like how we have like a user add same way group add. Okay. So group add. We use like add group right? So group add we have. So project one P1. So group DL P1. See, we have like alternative commands. I shared all those commands with you. If you check your WhatsApp group, I forwarded. You can add the user in a two different commands. Sudo add user your username. Sudo user add your user. Okay. If you want to add the group, sudo add group your group name. If you want to add the same, sudo group add user group name. Two commands we have. Add group we have, group add we have. Add user we have, user add we have. So alternative commands we have in the Linux. You can use any command to create. Okay. But you are very simple commands without a complexive approach. Few commands are with a complexive approach with a multi actions. Add user doing multiple actions, but user add doing single action. అర్థమైతుందా యాడ్ యూజర్ చేసినప్పుడు ఏమవుతుంది ఇట్ ఈస్ క్రియేటింగ్ యూజర్ హోమ్ ఫోల్డర్ సో చేంజింగ్ ద సెట్టింగ్ ఆఫ్ యూజర్ పాస్వర్డ్ యాడింగ్ టు ద యూజర్ గ్రూప్ అవన్నీ చేస్తుంది అర్థమైతుంది బట్ యూజర్ యాడ్ అనేది అవన్నీ చేయట్లేదు ఓన్లీ యూజర్ యాడ్ చేస్తుంది టాస్క్ ఓకే సో యూ కెన్ జస్ట్ యూజ్ ఆల్టర్నేటివ్ కమాండ్స్ సో డిలీట్ యూజర్ డిఎల్ యూజర్ డిఎల్ same delete the group delete. For example, you already have like a user. For example, you have a user added to the one group. You want to add the user to the group. Sudo add user, username, group name. You can do this. If you want to remove the user from the group, so DL user, username, group name. So you can just like deal with the users like the groups related. Now group related. I want to add one user to the group, specific group. Specific group I want to remove also. So we can do that. So those are commands you can include in your research. So when you are doing practice, you can include them. So especially like when you add the user, so we can just like you want like add the user, you can add the user. So we can just add the user to the specific group name. Okay. So whatever group name you created, you can add that. Later deleting the users, later deleting the groups, and you can change the password to anyone. So we have a user related option, group related options also. You can modify this. For example, I want to change change the user first name, last name, kind of options, or user ID, or group ID. Those modification related options also. Group mode, user mode. Those commands can help you to modify the system. So you can use a manual if you want to do some additional experiments. Is it clear? Yeah. So this is about legal rules. But after I told you, so most powerful command is sudo. Now command is sudo with the so command sudo plus so yes, which username you want to log in. This is the most powerful combination. Okay. So you can just like run the command behalf of the specific user. Get switch to the specific user. Share. But you can switch to the any user without knowing that password. It requires password. It don't require password. You don't open the shell, but it will execute the command. But you can open the shell also without my password. So those are options you should. Now those are configuration files already explained. Passwd file, group file as a like group's information, passwd file as a user's information. Okay, so you can just like a search for this specific group. Like sudo group we can figure out. Users group related users we can figure out. Now shadow file we have. Okay, so those are like files like important files. So they are like a group. So now you can search for password. So you can just like a user read command for checking up like how many users you have in your system. So before doing any changes, now you can check like so all the users like created users list also and ls home directories to see the users part. Okay, whatever users you have. So those are like areas configuration files you can access and you can see the like the changes happen or not. Okay. Like so why am I explaining commands in detail like this? Because you are going to be involved in a security operations center as a SOC analyst. That time you do the forensics. You will verify that which user is created, exploiting that computer, which group is created. If you don't know like where it is created, how can you do the forensics? This Linux fundamentals useful to you in a Linux forensics. Windows fundamentals useful to you in a Windows forensics. So we use the same knowledge in offensive and defensive and forensics also. అర్థమవుతుందా? So your server is compromised. You are investigating on the server. You should know that is a hacker created any backdoor user. He elevated privileges. He got access. How we which user he logged in. So everything we can. I'll show you the log path also. Tomorrow class I will talk about files and folders. How to manage the files and folders. File system operations we'll discuss in the tomorrow. Okay, important directories also will show you. Where we have a configuration files, where we have a logs related to the user activities. So everything. Clear everyone? Otherwise the process. So users and groups are like a plays a key role in a operating system concept. So first, whenever you take the like operating system, you need a software. We discuss that. Second, we need a user related privileges, password changes and all those things we discuss. Tomorrow we discuss what we do in the computer regularly. We create the files, delete the files, copy the files, move the files, rename the files. All those file related operations, folder related operations we learn in tomorrow. Okay, so this knowledge can help you to bypass login. You don't need anyone's password. Let me show you the trick how to log into the anyone's Linux system in less than a minute. So I have like I'm trying to use on my all Linux systems, whatever I have in my system right now. I will show you how I am able to log into the any Linux system with this trick. So this is a trick I learned in my intermediate. It's working for me till today also. So whenever you start your Linux operating system, whenever you power on your Linux system, it is going to be display the like a bootloader. So you have to like edit the bootloader instructions. Just press the escape. So press the escape, it will display the grab bootloader it is. So in this particular grab, you are going to be edit the instructions. So this grab you are going to be edited. So you have to press the E for edit. E to edit the comments. Just like select the first line, press the E for edit. Now it will enter into the grab commands list. You don't need to like read anything, you don't need to do anything, just to scroll down, bottom of the instructions, you can find the one line. Use the left arrow, right arrow, up arrow, down arrow for the moving in these instructions. So you have a Linux line. In that Linux line, we have a like instructions, just like the go to that. There is a word white splash. This word indicates that while slash indicates the slash screen, login screen. GUI it is loading. So delete that. I don't want GUI. While slash is removed. And it is a read only access loading. I want like the write access also. RW. Now I am mentioning the initialized program INIT. INIT means initialized. Which initial program I want to load? Bin bash. So I want to load the bash shell. Shell access I want. I am instructing don't open the slash script. Open the shell. You don't know your victim password. You don't know that guy password. Once you get the terminal access, what you can do? Just learn the command. Sudo passwd user. You can change the password. You can log in or not. So we are doing that. Okay. Now after changing this line, so use the control X or F. Control X. It will just like load with a modified command. So now you have a root access. Before login, you have a root access. So you have like a root access. You can see that. Now you know like how to read the files. You can just like a check. So who are in a sudo group? The group file. So sysadmin user is there with the sudo privileges. Now I want to change the password to the sysadmin. Or I want to add any other user. I can. So I can just like add the user if I want. All the operations, whatever you can do from this. Now I want to change the password. So already in a group, I don't need a sudo as a preface. You are in a root mode. You don't need sudo. You can directly can use passwd space. So which user? Sysadmin. Now update the password. So I just like updated to the 1 2 3 4 5 6. 1 2 3 4 5 6. The task is complete. Now you have to exit from this terminal. Go to the then login with your new password. Okay. See, you don't want to change the password. If you change the password, they will know. Then create the account. Add user with a sudo privilege. Add user, hacker, add user, hacker, sudo, add to the sudo group. Now you can log in with your own account to access all the files in a computer. So you can just do that. So now finally, like I am trying to execute the one command to exit from this. Okay, I want like a so actual initialized program. So I want like a initialized program has been initialized. Original initialization I am doing. What is the original initialization? Splash script. It will load to the splash script file. So when I'm studying in a privilege, so we have a laptop. Every student has a laptop given by university. Administrators in that university, they are restricted. We have a user account. I don't have any privileges to do anything on my Linux system. I escalated my privileges like this. Added root privileges, pseudo privileges to my account myself. For my so I just learned hacking in those days to buy my university. So 1 2 3 4 5 6. Password is changed. Okay, is it possible to the Windows also? Yes. I'll show you how to hack Windows login screen also in less than 5 minutes in a Windows class. Not only for the Linux I found for the Windows also. I tried that method in like a Windows Vista. Now Windows 11 also works. That same method is working. I will show you that trick. Even next version the release also same method will work. We don't need to worry. That is our lecture level. Okay. So we got access. Any Linux operating system, you can simply can just like a bypass with this. Okay, so what are the steps you have to follow? So just like whenever you switch on your machine, now I'm trying to bypass the parent security rules. I try to switch on the parent. Now it is loading escape. You will get the graph. See how the edit is done like. So E for edit. Scroll down. So Linux, like sometimes like so some lines can have a multiple times bytes plus. No auto mount kind of these are so delete the like a twice slash like two times we have it. I'm trying to- So they have like a arrow. What I said? R. So we have to mention. So which is a initializer. INID equal to forward slash within dash. Now control X. Even sometimes like so our changes are not permanent. In those cases, like for example, you change the file password. Password is not going to be stored. Okay, if you don't have a proper right permissions. Okay, so we can just mount the Linux system also one more time. Okay, so we can use the mount command like so just like a remount there process. Okay, so you can just like a mount there command like so you can use a mount command. So you can just like a so remount their file system. So you can just like mention like remote their file system with the read and write permissions like this. So you can just like try with the like a remote option. I'll share this command. So you can remount the like a file Linux file system in a read and write. So you can do that also if you want to. You don't need to mount it. Like, less the latest all operating systems are not restricting to mount. Okay. By default, they are mounting as a like mounting nothing but hard disk is accessible to you. Read and write directly. You don't need to like open the hard disk again. Mount means like so your hard disk you are like mounting to access the files. You don't need to do that. It is already mounted as a root here. So administrator level. So you can access all the files also. Now when you are able to access all the files in the system, you can read any file, you can just write any file, you can do whatever you want. Now we have our user. What is the username? With the sudo. Now you can change the password to that. Now password 1 2 3 4 5. I have created 1 2 3 4 5. Now execute. So we can just like so user like ISP initialize the program. Now we started initialize. I'll share the commands and steps. Okay, just try it. You have like a lab environment. In your lab environment, you have Kali Linux, Ubuntu, Parent Security OS, Metasploitable 2 Linux, Metasploitable 3 Linux, Vast Broken Web Application. All those are different Linux systems. They can few things works, few things doesn't work. If it is a very old, outdated, okay, current mode they have. But this is working from the 2010 onwards, every OS is good. So from after 2010, whatever OSs are published, all Linux systems are. Now you can't find like a very old one which is published before 2000. People are using latest only. So graph mode is going to work. So now, so what is the password? 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay. So you can bypass any Linux system. Kali, so I'm using Linux in my main system. Now if I leave my laptop in a classroom, any student, my student can bypass this login screen. They can log into the mic. Okay, then now I protect. I use the hard disk password. So OS is not going to be low direct. without my permission. Even if you turn on my laptop, it will ask my hard disk password. After entering my hard disk password only, it will load into the OS. Because I did this on like a lot of my friends' systems in college. So I need to know how to protect them. Okay. So if you want to bypass that security, still we can have a method, but hardware level has to be required. So not software. Okay. Fine. So I hope that all of you got the idea. So how hackers can simply get bypass in less than a minute our login skill by using same Linux commands only, but they are trying to get the command code before login. We have a trick. Clear everyone? Last this Saturday, I lost access to my system because of unexpected like upgrade. I have a complete data in my lab. How I collected the data? Just getting into the command line. I use like a copy commands, move commands. I connect additional hard disk. I copied all files from my system to the system. Only through the command. You learn how to use the command line. Okay, tomorrow class related to the files. So sometimes we don't need a complete UI access. We can do everything through the command line. So see, who learn more about command line, they will become experts. I mean, because hackers never use the GUI. Hackers never use the GUI, so they prefer to use the CLI only. So they want like a hide their activities from the end user. So go through the commands and do the practice to understand more. We have a slides. In a slides, manage users part. So go to your like I given a slides and like in the last week. Google Drive slides. In the slides you have a manage user section. Administrative access, manage user section is there. There is a users related discussion. Go to that slide also. Clear everyone? Fine.